Thank you, Jono. Thank you, Pak Sodo. Thank you, Zobel. First of all, let me, like Jono said, I'm a relief driver. The president named me on the 14th, on the Valentine's Day this year. I thought that it was my second retirement from the government job, but he named me the Minister of Trade, replacing a guy with the same height, almost the same weight, but I just don't play piano and I don't sing. So whenever I saw music or organs, I try to really run away, because then people ask me to sing, and this is not good. Well, I asked Pak Husodo that what am I supposed to speak, because my staff arranged to have a 48 pages long speech that I can do about 2 hours and 11 minutes. But then I saw this is everybody's trying to have a dinner, so I'm going to be trying to be very brief. And because I look at the objective is to look how Indonesia is in the future, and I look also Pak Luhut as part of the incoming government also spoke already and probably outlined what the government is going to do. Well, before I came, I saw what Indonesia is all about, the pressure of what the government is being expected by the people. People said Indonesia has the third largest democracy, and I think this democracy is quite important of what you will see in Indonesia in the near future. I categorically deny that about the third largest democracy. The Prime Minister of India voted by 500 people in New Delhi. President Obama, United States, second largest democracy, was elected by, in 2009, 58 million people. The incoming president, Jokowi, voted by more than 70 million people. Then what does that mean? That means, one for sure, that Indonesia starts to understand democracy is not the destination, but actually prosperity is this destinations, and democracy is just the way to get there. And if you look, why is that very important, what Indonesian, the economy? Well, basically the robust middle class. I saw somebody, the leadership from Nomura. I'm going to take this number. Nomura studies shows that the people, the middle class Indonesia, making $3,000 to $5,000. Well, number 3,000 to $5,000 is very important. $3,000 means second televisions in the household, and $5,000 mean the first car in the household. So the size of Indonesian middle class in 2014, according to Nomura and some World Bank, is 140 million people this year. This number is more than three times the size of the Philippines, which is around 47 million. About 4 times bigger than the size of Thailand, because Thailand is about 39 million people. 5 times and 6 times the size more than the Vietnamese and the Malaysians. So, and if you look, this number just in automotive sector, if you look at the numbers like this, that every 1,000 people, they measure how many cars do you have. In Japan, it's 582 cars. In Thailand, it's 179 cars. Do you know how many in Indonesia? 37. So to those of you that have the opportunity and privilege to understand how bad Jakarta is, traffic, it will get worse by 4 times soon. That's what happened. But because of that, when I arrived in Tokyo, the realizations of Japanese investment in the country is $750 million. When I left Tokyo by the end of 2013, 31st December of 2013, the realizations of Japanese investment in the country didn't grow by 100%, not 200, not 300, but by 700% to $4.7 billion. Absolutely because of the ambassador. Absolutely. It's not. I'm kidding. I'm just trying to see whether you're listening to me or not. So then, because I look, what had happened with this big investment. And it doesn't go from just for the Japanese, also for the Korean. The magnitude is different, but the growth is 7 times. You know, that number came from 210, almost 300 million to 2.1 billion dollars for the Korean at the same time period. So then I look, what did they do? Why suddenly the growing number of the investment? I call the first Japanese industrializations late in the 70s, early in the 80s and early 90s. This is the first wave of Japanese industrialization in the country. They came just to tap the cheap labor, and then they took the goods for developed markets. This time, the second wave of industrializations is different because they want to tap our market. And that robust middle class is the incentive best of all. So then, this is what we see, the pressure of Indonesians. Then, Indonesia between 2008 to 2013 grew very fast. I hate to say this, some people says Indonesian economy is like running it downhill. Some people said, the rockets of Indonesian, behind the rockets of Indonesian economy is because the QE in the United States that bring the price of basic commodities went up, and Indonesians have been enjoying that quite a bit. This is like the Viagra of Indonesian economy. To those of you who don't know the Viagra, I don't either. But then, because of that, then suddenly the QE stopped. The Fed probably will raise the rate. Because of that, people are dumping all the commodity stock, and the price had gone down tremendously. And then suddenly, in front of Indonesia, sit what we call middle income trap. Middle income trap only can be done by two things to avoid it. Otherwise, you can be like Brazil or other countries. I hate to name countries, but just to give you examples. Two things that Indonesia can do. With this demography bonus, I'm sure you've heard that half the Indonesian people right now, 50%, more than 52% of Indonesian people today is less than 30 years old. So we have this solid pyramid of demographic bonus. But sit in front of us is middle income trap. And if you don't invest in infrastructure, if you don't develop or transfer, get technology transfer, Indonesia will sink in the bottom of this trap. So the next government, what do they need to do? You saw that the Gini coefficient index in Indonesia last year hit 0.43. When they hit 4.45 to 50, it's like when the Arab Spring happened 3-4 years ago. So we need to develop. But I look, what went wrong? What went wrong? Then I figured it out. Which infrastructure Indonesia needs? Road first? Airport first? Port first? Or which first? We need to develop all because of this Gini coefficient index. But the one that have the biggest problem is electricity. Total 69 years of independence. Indonesian capacity per capita for electricity is 200 watts per capita. Roughly about 3 bulbs. But that 3 bulbs is in Java. In Sumatra, with 52 million people, we have around 6,000 megawatts. In East of Indonesia, Kalimantan, Borneo, all the way to Papua, all together is 4,000 megawatts. So in order to reach, so what's that mean? What's that mean? That when you have 200 watts per capita, that means Indonesian is not connected, or Indonesian are not part of industrializations. We just cannot. I remember I spoke with Zobel in one panel in 2006. This problem remained the same. In the last 5 years, we have not done enough Indonesia needs to develop another 100,000 megawatts, in order to become middle, lower income country. But can we do it? We can. What we need to be in the middle class of the world, we need to develop another 100,000 megawatts. That means roughly about $200 billion just to have 600 watts per capita. Can we do it? We can. Where did the money come from? From investors, from the private sectors, because the money in the government, we don't have that money. So some people told me when I became, I'm a handyman. I fix things, So when my president told me to do trade, this is the most unenviable job in the land. Price goes up, my fault. Price goes down, my fault. Import goes up, my fault. Export goes down, also my fault. So Pascal Lamy told the audience today, about 500 people, they said that, young man, if you want to be popular, please go away from Minister of Trade, because you will not go anywhere in your political career. I'm not a politician, I don't want to be politicians, I have no interest in running. But then, this is the problems of Indonesia. Some people ask me whether Indonesia will close and become, and will become will be disconnected from the world trade. We cannot. If we don't source this $200 billion in the next 5 to 10 years, Indonesia coefficient Gini index will burst. Maybe our, the sanctity of the nations probably will be challenged once more time. But we can. And then when we see, the number shows, I came from Nipida, from ASEAN minister meeting. And there I saw, why Indonesia is not successful and Indonesia become defensive with the world trade. Simple. Because Indonesia had not done the homework. We signed a free trade agreement with the Chinese in 2005. The number shows the gap between our import and export widening every year. That's also what happened with the Japanese. Now, Indonesia has the initiative of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, RCEP. This is one of the mega FTA in the world after the Transatlantic and Trans-Pacific. This is the number 3, the largest FTA. We have to commit 65% of our tariff lines by 2016. Can we do it? Of course we can. Do nothing, and we said 69%. And we have to liberalize another 15. Can we do it? We have to. I told everybody to protect, Indonesia needs to take care of the market, but by not protecting it, but by developing the economy. Industrializations have created new middle class. And with that, Indonesia, they said, should be one of the strongest economy in the world. Citicorp says that by the 2040, our economy will become $30 trillion, number 4 in the world. By 2050, I hope I still live and witness this, we will be number 4, above Japan, Germany, and other European countries. Why? Because the demographic bonus, because we need to develop this, but we have to work, and work very hard. So to those of you that challenge whether Indonesia is still connected, the number shows that to be connected with the world trade, we're gonna create more jobs, we can fight poverty, and also create prosperity. And that is very important to Indonesian democracy. So with that, I don't want to take very long of your time, but with that, please take in mind that we're open for business, we're always open for business, we're gonna create a lot more middle class, mending the world demands, create prosperity, and hopefully world peace. I thank you.